Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's great to have you here. I don't know where you've come from. Let me know in the comments where you've come from, whether you are just watching on YouTube or whether you've come over from Instagram. My Instagram will be linked below. Today I thought I would talk a little bit about my writing journey. So I shared in my sort of introduction about me video that I am a writer. That I do freelance writing and I'm also writing a novel. So I thought I'd share a little bit more about that. So firstly, when I say freelance writing, what does that mean? So I write articles for magazines, websites, haven't done a newspaper yet, but who knows, in the future that may happen. And I basically write about anything and everything, from I've written about sustainable fashion before, I've written about plastic free food shopping, I've written about knitting, learning to knit with a chronic illness, nature, country living, slow living, gardening, and British travel. So it's mostly British travel, partly because, I started during COVID, so I've not been anywhere, but also I'm chronically ill, so going abroad is quite difficult. So yeah, mostly British travel. Recently written quite a bit about Wales, which has been really lovely. So yeah, that's my freelance work. And then the novel that I'm working on is a romantic fiction novel. I'm a huge fan of romantic fiction. You can probably see my little bookcase just here in this area is full of romantic fiction. So yeah, that is, I'm not going to share too much about what that's about, but basically it's about chronic illness and romance, and there's a knitting shop. That's about as much as I'm going to share. Still very much in its beginning stages. So yeah, I started writing, gosh, I can't actually remember when I started because it's something that I've just always done. One of my earliest memories was entering a competition at school. I was, I think, 8 or 9 years old, and it was a competition. Quentin Blake had done all these illustrations, and the competition was to pick an illustration and to write a story about it. So that's one of my earliest memories, was writing that story, which I still have actually in my memory box. And I honestly, I read it and I'm like, blooming heck, like, where did these things come from? I don't have an imagination like that now. Like, honestly, like, just incredible, like how crazy my imagination was. And I think that's where that started, really, was, you know, from a really young age, I would always create sort of like worlds in my head, imagine things, create stories. I would play games with my friends and we'd get dressed up and I would imagine that we were somewhere else. And to me, it was always very real. I could always see myself in those places. You know, the garden was never the garden. It was, you know, Pocahontas's like woods and forest, and it was a ocean, and the trampoline was a boat, and there was a waterfall, and you know, all those kind of things. I was always sort of imagining and creating stories, and I started to write them down, I think, from about the age of 8 or 9. So again, I've got quite a lot of notebooks full of stories from that sort of age onwards. One of my favorite ones is actually, I was really into Harry Potter from about the age of sort of 7 or 8, and so I wrote a kind of like Harry Potter style story where it's like witches at school. So I've got that notebook. But yeah, I was writing for a long time. Been writing for a long time. And then at school, we had a bit of a chance to do it in English. We did quite a few like sort of creative writing things. Drama, I did a lot of writing because we wrote a lot of our own plays that we then performed. I did GCSE and A-level English, so that's the examinations in the UK. English language and theatre studies. So again, for GCSE and A-level, I had to write my own plays, perform my own plays, which I really enjoyed. So, you know, creating my own stories, etc., and then turning them into plays. And I also had to do some creative writing modules. So I had to go at writing short stories, monologues, Oh yeah, I did some articles as well at school. Yeah, so from that point where I was sort of studying, you know, I can't speak, English language, drama and writing in my spare time, I also went to a few different like days. So at my school we had a lot of authors come in and they would do sort of like workshops, so I always went to those. I absolutely loved those. Every time an author came in, I was like straight on them, obsessive. How do you write a book? I wanted to know the formula. I wanted to be them. I wanted that to be my life. I was so excited every time we had a different writer, and no matter what they wrote, I was just so excited by them. So yeah, I went to quite a few of those. When I was 17, I went to a Marie Claire How to Get Published evening. That was amazing as well, held by Lindsay Kelk, who's a fabulous author. She's got some great books. I've got quite a few of them over there. And yeah, that was all about how to write a book, how to then get an agent, get it published, etc. So that was super helpful. And then in my gap year, I did some like creative writing courses as well, like day courses, again, run by authors, like in the library and things. So I just sort of did that, you know, throughout the next few years, you know, when I was sort of like then studying at university. I did a few days as well at literary festivals and things like that. It was just a constant, like, I want to write a book. That was always there. I always wanted to write a novel. So any chance I got to speak to an author or go to an event or a workshop and learn how to do that, I would go. So, you know, that was sort of my introduction. And I had wanted to go to university to study creative writing, but I was told that that wasn't a sensible degree and I wouldn't be able to get a job and blah, 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 blah. So I went to university to study something sensible, and hated it. I went to study events management because that was going to get me a job, and it was awful. I'm sure lots of people have a wonderful time studying events management. There's nothing wrong with that degree, but I just didn't like it. I wanted to do something creative, and I very almost changed to drama and creative writing at another university, but again sort of wasn't encouraged to do so. So I I pulled out of events management, was really, you know, very unhappy there, got quite bad sort of, yeah, just it wasn't in a good place, and came home and was trying to figure out what to do, and somebody suggested social work, because I loved working with people. I'd done a lot of volunteering in different organisations, and I'd really enjoyed it. I'd been to India for a month and I'd taught creative writing and drama to children with HIV, and so a lot of people just said to me that would be a really good thing to do. So I thought, okay, cool, I'll go and do that. Started studying that, and again it was just the same. I needed to be doing something creative. I didn't want to be studying something academic or vocational. I wanted to study something creative, and I got very unhappy once more, but it then sort of turned into depression and anxiety, and I became really quite ill. So again, I had to pull out. So I am like the poster child for pulling out of university. But yeah, I pulled out, got myself a job, and then again, it was still like, I was going like, I really want to write. That is what I want to do. I really want to be a writer, and I really want to follow that dream. So I started a blog and I started sharing my writing on there, which was really nice, because until then it had been very much a secret that I didn't really share with very many people. I would just sort of work on stories and short stories by myself, and I never sent them out or did anything. I had like a notebook full of novel ideas, and again, I just didn't share this with anybody because I felt like embarrassed to do it in case they would make fun of me or tell me that I was no good. So anyway, I started this blog as a way of sharing my writing, which was the first time I ever openly shared that I wanted to be a writer, and that like actually put my work out into the world that wasn't read by like a teacher or a friend. So that was really good. That was very much encouraged by my now husband. But yeah, I was sort of like, I want to follow my dreams to become a writer, but I don't really know like how to do it. And I just kept thinking, I wish I'd gone to study creative writing at university. I wish I'd gone and done that. And so my husband then, he wasn't my husband at that point, he was my boyfriend, but he found a course at Oxford University, which was in the evening, so I could continue working because I needed to pay my bills, and student finance weren't going to give me any more money to go and study after I'd already dropped out of 2 universities. So yeah, we found this course, and it was an undergraduate diploma at the University of Oxford, and I applied and I got in. So yeah, I went to do that for 2 years and I learned so much. It was one of the most incredible courses. I made so many friends, and like, you know, some of them are going to be like lifelong writing friends, so we can support each other, and it's just, it was amazing. I did everything from screenplay writing to novel writing to short stories to flash fiction, poetry, you know, everything you could imagine. It was an amazing experience, and the teachers that we had were incredible people from the industry. You know, we had people writing you know, screenplays for films, for TV, you know, famous playwrights. It was just amazing. So that was sort of my first like proper training. Yeah, so I finished my diploma. I got a job in a library, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a school librarian because it would allow me to work with books all day long, which was a dream. But it would also give me the school holidays to work on my own books. Unfortunately, very soon after taking that job, I became chronically ill. So that was really hard because I had to give up my dream job. And what was even harder was that I couldn't write. I was so ill that my brain like fogged up and just didn't work, and I couldn't write. So I didn't write for an entire year, just over a year actually. And it got to the end of that first year of chronic illness, and I'd had all of these treatments for a different illness that they thought I had, and they weren't working, and we came to the conclusion that I had ME, and I might have fibromyalgia, which is another chronic pain condition, and basically there's no cure. There's, you know, there's managing techniques, but there's nothing they can do. So coming to that realization, that was at the end of 2019, I was like, okay, so I can continue living like this, basically not doing anything, sat on the sofa all day, barely reading a book, not writing at all, or I can try and do little bits and build it up. So that's what I did. At the beginning of 2020, I started writing again because I just didn't think that life was worth living without being able to write. I did not want to lose that. So I started reading books and I started writing again. It was very hard to begin with. My brain was like, what? Total fog. As anyone who has chronic illness will know, brain fog is very real. But I wrote a few blog posts, and the, what's the word? reaction that I got to those was incredible. I got so many people messaging me being like, you know, encouraging me to keep following my dream of writing, which I can't thank them enough for that. Like friends and family who just, yeah, celebrated me in that time of real struggle. But that pushed me to then think about studying a master's, because I'd always thought that I might go on to do a master's after my diploma, to study in a bit more depth, but also to work, you know, during a master's you work on your writing quite seriously, and I just thought that would be a really good thing to do. And then I got ill and I didn't think it was going to happen, but I found this course at Bath Spa that was distance learning, so that meant I could do it at my own speed, my own time. You know, if I missed the online seminars, I could watch the recordings when I felt better. I could, you know, I've actually done this multiple times. I've sat in bed with the camera off you know, feeling like absolute poop, doing a lecture or a seminar. So yeah, I found this course and I applied and I got in. So it's a MA in travel and nature writing. So it's mostly sort of article based, but a little bit of like memoir, because I wanted to try and learn how to write, you know, articles. so that I could get some freelance work. It's a very practical course, very much helps you get your writing out there, and very much encourages you to try to get published. So yeah, that's what I did. I started studying. I am now halfway through and it's been incredible. I have learned so much. You know, I cannot, you know, if you want to become a writer, I cannot encourage you more to like go and study or do a course online if you're able to. I know it's a real privilege. They're very expensive, but it really is worth the money if you have it, because I was just able to learn so much from people, and from that I've then got my first few articles published. So 2021, I set myself the goal of getting 1 article published, and I've now had quite a few. I've got quite a lot more work set up over the next few months. So I've had magazine, website, I'm writing a chapter in a collaborative nature book, which is really exciting. And obviously, as I've said, I'm working on my novel. So yeah, that's sort of my writing journey so far. I've got even more coming up. So Jenny Colgan, who's one of my absolute favourite writers in the whole world, is running an online writing course on how to write a romantic fiction novel. And I've never studied specifically like writing a romantic fiction novel. I studied at Oxford writing a novel, writing long fiction, but I've never actually studied romantic fiction. So I'm really excited. I'm doing that course in September. That's online. So yeah, I'm still always trying to learn. I think that's one of the best things that you can do as a writer, is always reading, always learning. You know, you can always improve your craft. And then I think the other thing as well would be to write all the time. You know, set up a blog, write a diary, journals, etc. So those are the things that I've done over the last, I mean, it's been like sort of taking it like seriously. It's been the last 6 years, but it's been the whole 27 years of my life almost. I don't know how early I started making up stories in my head. Probably like 2. So yeah, it's been a lifelong thing. And I'm excited to take you along on this journey. I'm excited to share with you as I write my novel. Hopefully, you know, it'll actually happen. As I say, it's very hard to write with chronic illness. That's one of the things I struggle with. So before I was ill, I never used to struggle writing. I've written half a novel before, which I decided to scrap because it just wasn't working, which is something that happens. I can talk about that more if people would be interested in a video about you know, how to write a novel, the process, etc. But yeah, I have written before, and I would sit every day and I would write like 2,000 words. That isn't really something I can do anymore because of my illness. You know, it very much fluctuates, which is why I can't work a normal job with normal hours, because, you know, one day I'll be very, very ill. The next day I might feel a little bit better. So that kind of, yeah, inconsistency makes it hard to write a book on top of all the freelance work and the masters as well. Often the book has to go very much to the bottom of the pile, because the freelance work pays and I need money. And the masters, obviously, like, I have deadlines to hit. So the novel is always at the bottom of the pile, but I'm slowly chipping away at it. And hopefully one day I will be an author. But yes, that is my writing journey. I hope you have enjoyed following along. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments. I might be able to answer them in another video, or I'll just answer you. Or come and find me at Rachel Bean on Instagram, and I will yeah, chat to you if you have any questions. Send me a DM. And yeah, I'm really excited to share this writing journey with you. Any of my fellow writers, please do say hi. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.